too hard to do. I mean, you
hard to
can't
do.
just change from.
Right.
They're gonna get really confused by the time we're done with this.
Yeah.
11:15 is when you show up. What? All right, new show.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. It's Chef Tom Douglas.
And Thierry Road, chef in a hat.
Coming to you from the beautiful Hotel Andra here in downtown Seattle. It's the Hot Stove Society Kitchens, where we do classes, professional events, social events. Last night we had a beginning knife cutting class that they sell out every time. It's so interesting.
People still need knife skills
Well, yeah, I mean,
so desperately.
Yeah.
We should probably offer it a couple times a month.
Yeah,
we always forget. We chef always forget. And there are plenty of people who are still using grandma's unsharpened knife in the kitchen,
yeah.
and because they just don't know any better.
Every month, Chef, we do a coconut cream pie class, which is super fun. And I've got I can't remember what I've got coming up for classes. We'll look into that, but it's super fun to come hang out. We love it when you guys join us. Just go to hotstovesociety.com. We've got a big show, 2 hours long for you today. We're going to welcome in cookbook author Maggie Zhu, whose new book, Chinese Homestyle, is packed with 90 recipes, which she says are packed with umami.
Yeah, and I also like the ideas more than the. I mean, I like the recipes, but I like the ideas with the recipes. Many nice little advice on how to cut, how to slice, how to prep. You know, which, and also
With great pictures, too.
pictures of all the different sauces. Because me, even as a chef, walking through a Chinese supply store, there's many words I don't know, many things I don't really know what's in the jar, yet I want it. So it's nice to have somebody clarifying all those basics.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to talk with her. I love the picture on the front of the book. It's one of my favorite type of meals, which is just a big bowl of spicy noodles.
Yum.
And then in spicy noodles, I like doing chopped cucumber and chopped bell pepper, sweet
Fresh
things
greens.
to go with
Yep.
go with it. Yeah. Ordinary to extraordinary. We're going to doll up some cream cheese today. Chef Pam Hinckley here, our producer, was instrumental in helping us make veggie rub because she's a veggie fanatic.
Right?
Not that I'm not, but she
I think you deserve credit for turning me on to veggies.
she lives the lifestyle a little bit better than I do. Homemade crackers. Have you made homemade crackers?
Not lately, no.
I have, and I do think it's worth it. That's the question. So we're going to talk about that. Getting the most out of mushrooms, roasted, grilled, or sauteed. I like them every which way. You and I are going to have a little challenge today. Pamela likes to kind of pit us against each other, even though we're best of buddies.
Yeah.
She likes to try and create tension.
It's all right. We won't let her.
We won't let her. It's make 4 things from one chicken.
Where is the tension?
You look very relaxed.
It's just attention as opposed to tension.
Right. 4 things from one chicken. So it has to be a meal, Chef. Are you going to be able to do this in a succinct way?
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
This
good.
is not the segment yet to talk.
All right. Lastly, we're going to play our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Rub with Love sponsored game at the end of the show, like we always do. It's a crowd favorite. Rub with Love spices are handcrafted, versatile rubs, sauces, and marinades to give you a more flavorful, successful kitchen. Taste of the week, Chef.
I did my taste this week is very appropriate for talking about Maggie Zhu later on. I went to China Harbor. Have you been to China Harbor in the last few years?
I had my company party there maybe 10 years ago. I don't think I've been back since.
Yeah. I think it's worth a trip back. For me, it was the same thing. I haven't been more than that, 15 years probably. And I was really enchanted with the dim sum. Went to the place. It was, sadly enough, it wasn't very busy. I wish this would be much busier because it deserved, the food was really delicious. The portions are bigger than I expected, but the nice little wrapped in stewed rice, with a nice little cut of sausage in there. All kind of different, beautiful little dim sum items that were very common, but yet very deliciously done. And Chef Dana, which is the chef of Vivian Bistro on Mercer Island, She's the one in charge of that kitchen. Beautiful work. I want to give a plug to that place because I want them to be able to bring it up and spiff it up to today. But more importantly, the food. Ultimately, you go to a place to eat because you want to eat.
Right.
So the food is the most important part. That was definitely great. Service was fabulous, but the place needs a little
Needs some
energy.
life. Yeah, it's a big place. I mean,
It's a huge
we had a
place.
party of 400 there. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh wow.
and they do lots of weddings, and they
Yeah.
have a beautiful view of Lake Union
Correct.
too. Yeah.
So anyway, I would recommend to go there on a weekday for a brunch or whatever you want to eat. But
So you like the Normai guy, right?
Yes.
Which is the sticky rice, the glutinous rice in lotus leaf.
correct.
Yeah.
And I also like the turnip cake,
Lobako.
lobako, and pardon me, not turnip, radish cake.
Well, it's daikon radish cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Almost like a turnip.
Yeah, and the shrimp. We
Shumai,
had
there's a hagao, which is the little
Yeah.
shrimp dumpling with kind of the crystal
Beautiful
wrap
stuff.
on it. Yeah.
and wrapped in that rice dough.
Mhm.
It's really beautiful stuff. But anyway, everything had the beautiful flavor, well seasoned, fresh. It tasted fresh. I was very impressed by the quality of the work. In comparison, there was nobody in that restaurant. I was like, oh my God, we need some music and some help.
Our
here.
listeners will come now.
Please go. The portions are big. You take some
And
food
free
home.
parking.
And it's free parking.
And then you could go for a beautiful walk around the lake.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've never walked around Lake Union. Have
it's
you?
so fun. Yeah,
That's
several
lots of
times.
different. It's so different than Green Lake.
So many different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful walk.
It's a big
I've
walk.
never done that.
About 5 miles.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway, China Harbor. I'll give them a plug because I thought that was worth a visit for the food, for sure.
My taste of the week, boy, there's so many things that are so delicious. I had, I told you last week, I cooked the Labuznik dinner out of my second cookbook, Tom's Big
Uh-huh.
Dinners. And with it, I was like a return to the 1980s, favorite things that I had had at his
Sure.
restaurant for years and years and years. And we made the chocolate mousse.
I was just gonna ask you about that because
Yeah.
you mentioned that. I was like,
It had a little Grand Marnier in it. For some reason, I had no Grand Marnier, so we used Cointreau. And it's just such a blast from the past. And a little whipped cream on top. And Jackie had candied some blood orange zest. So the chocolate mousse, though, what a flavor.
memory.
That's a great recipe.
It's a
We
flavor
made
of
it here
memory.
not long ago.
Did you?
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
I used to make when I was in Chicago in 1978 to 81. I used to make batches 2 times a week, and we put in piping cup, in martini
exactly.
glasses.
So pretty.
That was a chocolate mousse. But I used to make, a batch of chocolate mousse. I tell you, you didn't want to miss that one.
When I opened Cafe Sport as the chef in 1984, we had a black and white chocolate mousse. So we did a chocolate mousse and then a white chocolate mousse.
Sure.
And then I can't remember what we garnished with, but it was really kind of took me right back to the mid 80s when all that was so popular. Okay, up next, it's Maggie Zhu, author of Chinese Homestyle. Let's jump into the middle of her tasty new book. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
You want to do the mushroom one while she's
That's
getting
what-
Oh, yeah,
settled?
for sure. We'll just keep going until.
with the flooding stuff. Thank you.
To our thousands of fans.
Thank you. Up next.
So Maggie's for 2 segments.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to jump into mushrooms.
Mhm.
And we did 3 segments with
Great.
those guys
You got 3 in?
because it was supposed to be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you did trivia, right?
No, 4 with the trivia.
It was excellent.
4 segments. They had the
3
whole
with
second
that.
hour.
Yeah, the 3.
Wow.
And then they did
I
trivia.
don't think that's ever happened on this show.
No.
before.
But he had a lot to say.
Oh yeah, and good things. I think it was very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. It's time to eat some mushrooms. The spores of the earth are dangling under our trees.
The jewel of the Pacific
The
Northwest.
jewels.
One of the reasons I moved up to Seattle, Washington.
I'm always surprised at how many places mushrooms grow. Pam, your interest in this is that there's so many ways to cook them. Which is best?
Yeah,
And
because
is that just an American thing that always wants to know what's best?
Yeah.
not so much best, but how to get the most flavor out of them without overcooking. Because usually I stay in that very safe zone with the button cremini portobello. But last week I said I need shiitake. I've got to figure out. But they have a completely different texture, and I was making some black cod because I've been on a black cod
Mhm.
kit, and I wanted to get them crispy. But then I said, well, in taking them crispy with a lot of soy sauce, maybe I negated the characteristic that is truly shiitake-esque.
You are so bewildered for no good reason.
I
Oh,
know.
okay.
I know. She
Yeah.
she worries about the wrong thing.
I know.
Okay,
so it's so
tell me
funny
more.
because I think that you represent a lot of people out there
Yeah,
that are
Yeah.
that for
because
sure.
you don't know
Like,
all the different angle.
Yeah.
We don't think like that because we have many different ways to get to one place. But when you only know a couple places, you worry about things like this, which I don't
so
think
far
about
as
that.
far as over cooking them till they're properly cooked, you can eat mushrooms raw. So the only reason you don't want to eat mushrooms raw sometimes are like the king bolitas or something where they might have worms in them, and you want to make sure you get those all cooked and killed, or some sort of parasite or something. And you can see them generally when you slice down a bolitas, a mushroom, or a porcini. You can just slice through the stem, and you'll see them moving if there's worms in them. So, but
The worms are good for you. They just
Oh,
don't
okay.
get me
No, they're
wrong.
not good for-
Nutrient dense.
not good
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. So anyway, so that's about the only thing on the criminis. All the farm raised shiitakes are farm raised now. Oyster mushrooms, those are all edible raw, and then you can take them to wherever you want to.
I'm not a big fan personally. I'm not a big fan of shiitake raw, but I've done shiitakes grilled, and I've done shiitakes roasted, and I've done shiitake dried, and I've done shiitake sauté. And in stews, I love them. I used to make this sauce to go with fish, which would have sautéed shiitake, grated fresh ginger, shallots, and pig's feet, and vermouth
Head the pork.
and butter. And then that would be the sauce for a beautiful black sea bass. That was so yummy. But the point was to the shiitake, then you just saute them gently in butter, like white foamy butter. Saute them nicely until they're nice and a little bit tender. Put in your grated ginger and your chopped shallots. At the same time, sweat the whole thing up. A little bit of dry vermouth. Reduce that down. Now get the butter, and you get a wonderful sauce on your hand.
I think that's what I was worried about, that by trying to get the shiitake crispy and taking him past that moist stage, it lost the flavor.
Oh no, you don't lose it.
Shiitakes are not very moist. They're not a moist mushroom.
You simply slice them to the thickness that you desire. Do the same thing you do with roasted cauliflower or broccoli or carrots or anything. Put a little olive oil on top, whatever seasoning you want, and bake them in the oven until they become the texture that you want. You can take them all the way to potato chips. Remember, mushrooms are 90% water.
Mhm.
So as you take them down and reduce them, their moisture content, the stronger the flavor comes out.
Right.
That's why button mushrooms are so good when they're cooked all the way, and you just cook, and get rid of the water, and just with the mushroom flavor.
Intensify, yeah, absolutely.
And it works
Well, let's
beautifully.
switch to the oyster mushrooms.
Love oyster mushroom too. They're easy to get
Well,
around.
I want to stay on shiitake for 1 second before
Okay.
we jump into that. If you go to Chinatown or the International District, many of those Asian cultures use dried shiitake mushrooms,
Right.
and then they braise them in hot pots or something. If you look at any umami packet that you see in the grocery store now, you'll see that they take the raw dried shiitake, powder them, and that's the basis for an umami packet. It's oftentimes powdered shiitake because it has
Great
that great
flavor.
woodsy flavor to it. But it also, when you use rehydrated dried shiitakes, it's another very different texture. They get spongy, and you see those in hot pots, all sorts of Asian cuisine. So
Yeah, the powder is actually a great idea because you don't have the texture of the mushroom coming back. You do get the intensity of the flavor. So a little, if you have a nice little broth of any kind, vegetarian, whatever, chicken, and you throw in a little bit of that mushroom in there, wow, it just changes drastically.
okay,
Pro
oyster
tip.
mushrooms.
Yeah, they seem so much more delicate.
Well, that's just because they have a leafy kind of
The
leafy shape.
They're more
to them.
fragile.
But
more fragile.
it
I
depends
think
on
that
what you want to end up with. So again, you can grill them, put them in. There's not something that you can grill like a shiitake; they'll fall through the grate.
Yeah.
So you use a perforated vegetable grill
Oh.
pan or something on the charcoal grill, or you saute them, taking them down all the way to the kind of golden brown and dark and crunchy and lusciousness is the way I like them. Because they get, don't you think they're a little mushy to kind of just have lightly sauteed?
They're a bit spongy. I
Spongy,
think that's more the word of it. It's spongier than shiitakes. They don't dry out quite the same. And they don't make a great dry mushroom because they don't really have intensified flavor like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So I wouldn't waste my time drying it. But I use iron plancha, you put on your stove and get it super, super hot. And then I take my oysters, and then toss them in a little bit of
oyster mushrooms.
Oyster mushroom, yeah. Oyster mushroom. Usually I cut, they have a little stem. I usually cut those stems off and put that in my freezer bag with my next stock, and then just keep the cap, and then put them in a little bit of argan oil, salt and pepper, and then put that on the plancha. And it gives it the argan oil accentuate the nuttiness. And I think you could use that sesame oil we just had today. Last week, that sesame oil we had, super delicious. That would give that nuttiness accent to those mushrooms and give it a nice sear. They do super well with that, and it's a great garnish in a salad. If you do like a sauteed, if you take endive, radicchio, and throw in those mushroom in there, it makes for a beautiful little salad. Toasted walnut.
Chef, what mushrooms are out there that you wouldn't waste your money on? The one that comes to my mind most that you see that I think they're actually an oyster varietal mushroom, but like the
king oyster,
abalone or king oyster mushrooms.
I would not.
They have zero flavor.
Yeah.
I could see where somebody might like the texture because they cut like a steak.
Right.
But from a flavor perspective, I would much rather have a button mushroom at 1/2 to 1/4 the price.
The best mushroom steak is the puffball mushroom. You can get to a farmer's market and get one of those puffball. You steak it, brown butter, salt, pepper. You get the most beautiful piece of mushroom steak on your hand. A little finish in your butter, finish a little bit of sherry vinegar, and then toss the whole thing over the mushroom. You'll have a wonderful piece of steak on your hand.
So if you only could cook them one way, Pam's original question was grilled, sauteed, or roasted, right? What would you choose?
I think I'm going to go with saute because it's for me, it would be the most diversified way to use it. But I don't think you should stuck yourself to anything of that silly. It's like one day you're in a hurry, you get 3 other things to do. Take the mushroom, toss them in a little bit of boil, in a bowl with a little bit of oil, put them on a sheet pan, 425 to 450 in the oven. While you're doing something else, those mushrooms are roasting and they will come up beautifully.
The other thing you can do with mushrooms that, as far as preserving them, is saute them like we talked about the buttons all the way down till they're completely cooked in butter, and then freeze them in the butter and then you can pull them out.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Sometimes you buy a little pack of mushrooms and you don't need them or use them all, but then they go bad in your fridge. Don't let it go bad.
Mushroom is a much better product frozen cooked than it is raw.
Okay.
You can't really do it raw.
Raw,
That's
when
a
it
good
comes
tip.
out, it loses all its water.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got a full more hour, as they would say on Sirius Satellite Radio, a full more hour. We have ordinary to extraordinary cream cheese, make your own crackers, a chef challenge with a whole chicken, and of course, we'll end with the food for thought tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thank you.
Okay, Maggie, you can unmute now.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
good?
Yay.
There we go.
Perfect. So much better.
Can you see us?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Thierry.
Hi. Oh, yeah, it's good. I'm glad it worked out. I was like, oh God, I thought the car, it can work, but no, it was a little bit, no, signal wasn't good.
Wouldn't make good radio.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. As I said in my email, your book is captivating. We're so glad that Carrie sent it to us. Is it at Booklarder yet? Should we talk about that? Because you're going to do a class there next week. I saw.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's already there, and
Okay,
we're
perfect.
doing an event. Yeah,
Yeah.
And Maggie, is it zoo?
it's Jew,
Jew.
so it's pronounced like Jewish. like
Yes.
Jew.
Okay. Jew.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so Tom and Terry know, your omnivore cookbook is a website. It wasn't actually a cookbook, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
It's a blog.
It's a
Yeah.
blog. Okay, so this the Homestyle Chinese is the first physical cookbook from you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Great work, by the way. Love the pictures.
So-
I'm in New York.
Oh, you're in New York?
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Maggie, the first segment, we're going to talk about building a pantry and the impacts of aromatics and benefits of homemade sauces, blah, blah, blah. The second
Yeah.
one, we're going to take those into your book and be successful with some of the recipes. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So the first one's 9 minutes. The second one is 10 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, it's the Hot Stove Society Kitchen Show on Cairo Radio. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Rotero, the chef in the hat.
We are thrilled that you're joining us today. Hopefully, you're in the kitchen near your wok. You're going to love these next two segments right here on the Hot Stove Show. Maggie Ju is here. She's her new book called Chinese Homestyle is a plant-forward book that demonstrates the impact of aromatics and of homemade sauces and condiments on your cooking. It's been a super helpful guide to stock my Chinese pantry because I end up with so much stuff and then I don't ever finish it. I buy all the little ones at the Wajimaya or places like that. So hopefully Maggie can, hopefully you'll help me figure out what to do with some of these sauces that I have in my fridge.
Sounds good.
You're coming to us from New York today. Is that true?
Yes.
Awesome. Great to have you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Bet. So everyday plant-based recipes for takeout, dim sum, noodles, and more. On the cover of your book, I have to just start with that because it looks to me like it's my favorite, which is the spicy chili crisp with green onions and peanuts on noodles. Is that what's on the cover of your book?
Yes, it's dandan noodles with the
Dandan
one with
noodles,
the chili sauce.
I just love that style of eating. Tell us about your book and about you and the Omnivore website and all the things that are Maggie Ju.
So I started my blog back in 2013, sharing Chinese recipes. I started sharing my family's recipes, but most of them like from my mom and my grandma, and they developed over the years. And now I just share everything Chinese cooking related.
Mm-hmm.
From pantries, like all kinds of cooking techniques. Sometimes I even do a little bit restaurant reviews, but most for the most part is I want to really present how to make Chinese dishes, like takeouts or dim sums or noodles and dumplings, and how to make it easily in your own home kitchen. And this book, I take some of the recipes into plant-based. So it's a full vegan cookbook where I share, all the basics, like what do you need for your pantry, like the sauces and how to make your favorite soups and dumplings and takeout at home.
Mm-hmm. So your stated goal is with the Omnivore website is to help more people get to know real Chinese food and expose lesser known regional cuisines. So what is the difference between what we're buying and what you or what we're seeing in the marketplace, either at the restaurants or at the grocery stores, and what is real Chinese food?
So I feel like I wouldn't say it's like real or not real, but I do feel like what I've been eating growing up in China is quite different from here because our diet has content like the majority of the meals are contains vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And we do use a little bit of meat here and there, but contrary to what people think, we don't use that much sugar and deep fried. Unlike, I feel like here in the US, like some of the most popular dishes are fried
Mm-hmm.
and with like a very heavy sauce. So, it's like it can be a brown sauce or a different type, but they're usually quite sweet. or like some orange sauce or General Tso sauce, they're quite sweet. But what I've been eating growing up are like the recipes that I shared in this book. They're like noodles, maybe mixed with a sesame sauce. There may be like a cucumber salad, or like like a vegetable stir fry.
Mm-hmm.
And we do eat meat, but usually it's like it's just one of the dishes, or sometimes we use a little bit of meat in like soups and stir fries to add flavor.
Is that changing in China too? Is meat becoming a bigger part of the center of the plate?
For sure. It's getting more and more popular. I definitely feel like more and more people like eat more meat. But, the economy is getting better and people can afford it.
Right.
And there is more product available. And definitely there's like more meat in on the table these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a good thing, I guess.
No, and I think it's a phenomenon that's happening all over the planet. I mean, people get a little bit better economically, and then more meat starts showing up in the meals. And I think you're right.
Yep.
I think you're right that most countries around the world, here we're used to plenty, but most countries around the world, they eat more vegetable than they eat meat because it's easier to grow vegetable than it is to grow meat.
It's delicious too.
Yeah, it's very, very healthy for you. So I understand all that. That's very cool.
Mackie, can you figure out why or how the cuisine started changing to these, what we know, like at in many American Chinese restaurants, the heavy brown sauce on chicken, almond chicken, or the sweet and sour sauce on pork. It just seems universal in this area that has kind of happened over the years.
It is very universal. I actually, I think I read it somewhere. It's actually an organization that helps like early immigrants to establish, to do something to make a living. So it's this organization that they have this really uniform, format. Like, oh, you just design your menu this way, and this is what you do, and then you people will like it. Mm-hmm. And the way the flavor developed was because I think a lot of early immigrants, I feel like they might have tried different things, but then there are the things that stick that people like the most.
Right.
And, things like, because I feel like Chinese people, they work really hard and they are really smart about like trying to make money, instead of like, oh, what, I'm just going to stick to like super authentic. But I feel like most people are very resourceful and they start to adapt more. Right. And they figure out, oh, when we fry this, it sells better. So they just make it, more and more to what it is, like tastes like now. Right. That's how I feel.
And I think like every generation, once you get to second generation or third generation, like you probably are, you start wanting to bring back what's actually real from your country. And that, to me, that makes total sense. And it is your duty. I think it's our duty as foreigners when we come to America, especially after a generation being here, to just want to do that, to want to bring...
Go back to scratch?
Yeah, to go back and bring the real thing, because it is true. I agree with that. It's the same thing with French food, Italian food, or whatever. So much bastardization has happened. And it's not bastardization, it's accommodation to the people here on what they know and what they like, as opposed to what you actually used to have as a child in your country. And it's great that you want to bring this back. I'm 100% with you on that. Bravo.
Thank you. And yeah, I do agree that these days you will see more, especially New York, or I'd say some other major cities like LA. You will see more and more like new immigrants or second generation. They start restaurants that are more authentic to what we eat in China. Mm-hmm.
Because they appreciate they're missing. They appreciate what they're missing in some ways too. Because the mom and dad had to cook American style just to survive, but now they appreciate effort for a time of that.
And the public is also more open than it was 50 years ago.
For sure,
they're more knowledgeable. They're also
of course, my dad took me to my first Chinese restaurant, and we had a big old pile of sweet and sour pork and egg rolls, and that was Chinese food.
Right.
And so that's how I got my start in that cuisine, and thankfully it has morphed a little bit from there.
Yeah. Yeah, thankfully.
Okay, Maggie, we're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about some of the fabulous recipes in your new book called Chinese Homestyle: Everyday Plant-Based Recipes for Takeout, Dim Sum, Noodles, and More. On Cowboy Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
All right.
Maggie, that was our live audience.
We have 5,000 people here. It's tight.
Good.
This is cool. I like what you're doing there.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring the real thing to the table. It's gonna be
Yeah.
better than anything else.
It's nice. I feel like people do appreciate it. Like you will see a lot of like more Sichuan food. Like chili oil is, totally took off. It gets so popular. I'm glad that it's
Oh, yeah,
that,
we
that kind of
talk-
thing,
We talk about chili crisp oil all the time here.
Yeah, so good.
I'm still a fan of the Lo Ganma, the old godmother's chili sauce.
Yeah, because it has MSG in it.
I know,
It just
exactly.
tastes better.
And it's $3.
I know it's like so much cheaper because those new ones are like 15 bucks.
know.
and pop
Yeah,
out.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody should have one of those in their fridge at all time.
Ready, set, chef?
Set.
All right. We are back in the kitchen with Maggie Zhu. Her new book, Chinese Homestyle, is hitting the shelves, and she's, I believe, going to be available at the Book Larder. Is that what you said?
Yes, and she's doing an event there.
Nice. So look for that at the Book Larder website. Maggie, we talked a little bit about your background in the first segment. Let's talk about this book and some of the recipes in it and some of the must-haves for your Chinese pantry.
Mhm. So I in this chapter I try to really narrow it down for my audience. So you don't. I hope people don't feel like they have to buy 1,000 things to be able to make some Chinese food. I hope people to get a few essential ingredients,
Mhm.
and those should help them make a lot of the dishes. And I feel like if you get the correct brand, the one that you actually make a trip to Asian market, and they're really all very affordable. And if the sauces are good, and this is already like you're already like halfway through the cooking, like the dish will just taste better
Right.
when you get the sauce right.
So I jumped right into the black bean sauce. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite. I might make my own version of it with peppers that my wife grows over at our farm, and fermented salted black beans and garlic and deliciousness. And
Yeah.
I love having that around, both because it's tasty and also because I made it. I feel ownership to it. That is, you don't get when you just buy a jar off the shelf.
Oh, it's definitely so much better when you make them at home because it's fresher.
Right.
And I do use a lot of I use way more aromatics like ginger, garlic, and onion in this, and you cook it and to release their flavors. It's just like so much more like richer than a stored bottle.
True for everything you make. when you make it, it usually tastes a lot better than what you buy in store.
A lot of it's emotional. It's like
Yeah.
it's like when you grow the carrot, it tastes better,
Plus,
whether it is or it
you're gonna
isn't.
put passion into this because
Mhm.
you're making something that's gonna be lasting in your refrigerator. It's not even just like a dinner. It's like something that's you're gonna be giving it away as a jar or whatever. So you're spending even more time on it. Yes, please try it. Make it once. Take your time and make it once. It doesn't take that
Mhm.
long. Just get the best ingredient you can find.
Yeah.
Like for anything.
Maggie, so Americans have fallen in love over the years with Chinese barbecue pork, char siu, and you have a char siu sauce recipe. What's the trick?
Oh, so I use that char siu sauce is actually has one secret ingredient. It's the fermented bean curd.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ingredient from northern China. So those are tofu that is fermented in like a salted brine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very, very savory. So instead of making a sauce, because char siu sauce is sweet, it's like a sweet
Right.
sauce. But I added my interpretation, like I add some vegetarian oyster sauce, which is made from mushroom, and then those bean curd along with the sugar. I just feel like when you use, especially when you only have like plant-based ingredient, usually it's made from pork, but here I use mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But with like those small umami bombs, like fermented goods. It just make the sauce much, much more flavorful and interesting than a sugary sauce.
Love it.
No, it sounds really good.
Another recipe that really caught my eye in your book is scallion pancakes, and I use these as kind of the litmus test of a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, sometimes.
True.
Because every place that has them, I try them, and very few places have them where they're homemade. And yours looks so fabulous in this book.
Thank you. It takes a minute to make, I have to admit, like kneading the dough and like putting it together. I do include it step-by-step pictures because I personally like to put a lot of scallion in it. It's just like so tasty. And the one key is that when the oil layer, when you do the oil layer, so what you do is use the oil and a little bit of flour to make a roux. Instead of just brush oil, which is a lot of recipes do. Yeah, this way that the oil kind of stick better onto the dough. So when you roll it up, it doesn't like squeeze out as much.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can make like a really layered pancake.
Nice idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and the technique is awesome too. Your pictures are perfect because people don't understand how when you cook the scallion pancake, you want it to be flaky, almost like a croissant flaky.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's hard to achieve, especially with the
crispy,
frozen ones you buy in the grocery store. The other thing about these is you can make a bunch of them, freeze them, and then cook them to order whenever
Right.
you want to. It's
I
super good.
also really like the fact that you took all those vegetables for the prep earlier and show all the different cuts. How many ways can you possibly cut a vegetable or leafy green or white? It's a beautiful thing to do because I think most cooks at home, they're not quite sure or they don't think it's sometimes important. Where I think it's very important.
The shape of the vegetable.
the
you
shape
mean?
of the
Oh,
vegetable.
very important. Very, very
Of
important.
course, it's very important. And
Like it's like things like bok choy, we separate the whites and the grains,
Right.
and the white you cut it a little bit smaller because it takes longer to cook, and the grain you leave them bigger because it's shrank. It's just like it's really important,
or you cut
actually.
it on top, you give it some mark so then it can cook faster. There's all kind of different trick, and I thank you for putting that in the book. That's a great step in.
Yeah, I wish I could have done more. Like maybe for the next. I do like those prep pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, Pamela, you don't go out to dim sum very much because you think it's too meaty and icky for you. But if you look at the vegetable dim sums in this book,
I know this is going to change my opinion.
was there one like to me the bamboo shoot and mushroom stuffed yuba rolls
Looks incredible.
looks incredible. And Maggie, is that the tofu skin that you used to make those rolls, or is that different?
Yes, it's yuba sheet. It's pretty much it's a tofu product. It's made with soybean and water, but it's paper thin and it has really nice tender texture, and they don't fall apart that easy. And you can use as a wrapper. And it's like it's a protein wrapper that has like a really soft texture, and but when you fry them on the pan, it kind of crisp up a little bit.
Very
So
good.
it's like
Very good idea. I've never used that
Brilliant.
product. I'm going to use that.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
used that?
delicious. Yeah.
That sounds
you bet.
that sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Another one, cumin potato baked buns. Now, when I go for dim sum myself, when it comes to buns or baos, I tend to go for the baked over the steamed. Of course, I was drawn to this baked bun. What's the trick there?
Oh, it's actually really easy. You just make a very thin, make a dough that is pretty much just flour and water, and roll it out like kind of like this is like a large dumpling, and I cook the vegetables like it's the potato center with like some onions, and I season it with cumin powder. It's actually a flavor profile from Xinjiang, which is it's located west part of China, and that part of a country it's mostly like Muslims. And so the flavors are kind of like those, like, kebabs and those like Middle Eastern flavors. So they cook with like onions and tomatoes and peppers and, potato. So I kind of this is one of the dishes that was originally made with lamb. And I made this into plant-based using the kind of like the flavor profile from that region. And these dishes are usually originally made like naan. Like they use like a giant stove, like a pit,
like a
Right.
And
tandoori
you
kind
just
of
put
pit.
and you just like bake them. But I use the home oven to bake them.
Nice.
So delicious. One thing, when I go out for Chinese with other people, everyone always wants the dry fried string beans. And they have no idea that they're not dry fried. They're deep fried string
Yeah.
beans. It makes me crazy, Maggie. How do we get around all the deep fried vegetables?
You don't have to fry. You don't have to deep fry.
I know.
I never deep fry those at home because it's like it doesn't make sense for me to like you make a side dish like bring bean to and use like 4 cups of oil. That's just insane.
Yeah. No, of course.
So what?
But you can
yeah.
blister in a wok, right?
Yeah, you like a frying pan, like any pan.
Yeah.
You put in you don't even need to use like too much oil. I feel like enough to cover the bottom of the pan, and you use high heat, and you just need to give it some time because, take it maybe like 5-6 minutes for it to blister, and it start to turn a little bit tender, and that's when it's like you get that really nice like charred texture. You don't have to deep fry them.
Right.
I agree.
I
totally.
think just toss them in a
and
little
crisp
bit.
the pork in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, toss them in a little bit of oil and salt, pepper, and then throw them in that saute pan.
Yeah.
And if you're patient and you get high heat, don't be afraid of high heat. Just
Yeah,
use
and
a good
sometimes
pan.
we even use an air fryer.
Yeah.
You spray some oil, throw in the air fryer, and it will get the good texture.
Yeah.
So Maggie, we're going to stop for a minute here. Sean, can we do a noodle segment with her and put it in the can for another day?
Yes,
Okay, good.
of course.
We're going to stop this segment here, and then we're going to come back and do another segment. Do you have time to do that?
Sure.
We didn't get around to noodles, and I want to talk with noodles.
You're making me hungry.
Great.
Yeah, well,
I'm hungry.
I'm getting really hungry too. What's
Okay.
for lunch?
All right, we've been talking with Maggie Zhu. She is the author of Chinese Homestyle, Everyday Plant-Based Recipes for Takeout, Dim Sum, Noodles, and More, because we're just not used to cooking in a real high fashion, I don't think, when it comes to Chinese food.
Let's sign up and go to that class she's doing.
At Book Larder.
At
At
Book
Book
Larder,
Larder,
yeah.
yeah.
It'd be super fun.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Book Larder, it's over in Fremont, and it's terrific. So, okay, thank you, Maggie.
Thank you so much. All the best of luck.
Thank you.
And happy Chinese New Year.
Yeah, happy Chinese New Year. And this is good, right? Oh, you're talking about the next session. It's like we're picking another time or.
Yeah, we're going to do another segment.
Right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But it'll be
Okay.
in a different show.
Oh, I see. I got it.
And we're back in the Hot Stove Society kitchen. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Rotiro, the chef in a hat.
Chef, we had an author on a few weeks ago, Maggie Zhu,
Yep.
who has a new book out, Chinese Homestyle. And we got so involved in the vegetable dim sum, and we got involved in making homemade Chinese sauces that we're used to just buying at the grocery store, and learning how to explode the flavor in those sauces with different aromatics, that we invited her back to tell us, because I never got to noodles.
Yeah, I know.
Remember, I started the show last week with talking about the noodles that are on the cover, the Dan
Right.
noodles, and I never got to it. So, Maggie, thanks for rejoining us. We appreciate your time, and hopefully the book is selling like
Hotcakes.
green onion pancakes.
Thank you.
So, your book, we talked about, it's a vegetable forward, everyday plant-based recipes for takeout, dim sum, and noodles and more. But let's talk noodles on this segment if we could, and what makes a successful noodle dish. And I'll just start with the things that I struggle with most when I go to Chinese restaurants is that my noodles never get a hot enough sear in the wok. And just tell me right off the bat, are my expectations wrong, or are they not doing it correctly?
Oh, you need to explain. What do you mean by it's not hot enough to?
Well, sometimes, like when it says you want wok seared noodles, right, or wok fried
yeah.
noodles or whatever, I want a serious burnish on the noodles. I want it in a super hot wok, and I want them to have like maybe little golden edges or something like that. I'm not looking for chow mein noodles, but I'm looking for something that has been in a very hot wok and has some of the breadth of the wok in the noodles. And I just feel like they're always in such a hurry that they never wait and get the actual flavor from the wok.
that's you need a better restaurant.
Okay, so it's not an expectation that it's a wrong expectation.
It should be. It should be kind of smoky. I think it's
Okay.
if you're telling me this is something you make at home and you couldn't get it, I understand
Right.
because you need a really really hot
Right.
wok, which is really hard to do with the home. Like even gas stove is hard. But the restaurant, you should like what noodles should be like chow mein should be smoky.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was curious.
You
about
were
that.
right.
Well, sometimes I just want to send it back and say cook it more, and then they look at me like, "Dude, what do you know about Chinese cooking?"
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what are your favorite noodles to make? And do you make them homemade noodles and then make them into a dish, or do you have favorite noodles that you can purchase?
You can purchase them. Yeah, these days, if you have an Asian market nearby, I love to use. There's a brand called Pavista. They sell fresh noodles. They're semi-fresh. It's like kind of like dried, but it's refrigerated.
Right.
So it's not like completely dry that you buy in those packets on shelf. It's
Right.
in the freeze sometimes freezer section, and those noodles are like fatter because they don't really dry them completely.
Right.
And it comes in all kinds of shapes. Like they're the thin, the thick. They're the shape like the udon, and they're those like hand shaped, like amazing wide noodles
Mm-hmm.
that like this like very chewy, and the texture amazing. So yeah, if you can if you can make a trip to Asian market, I feel like those are really, really nice noodles. You don't really have to make them at home. I do include a homemade noodle recipe in my book, but it takes some time, and most people don't have that time.
In our market, we have a noodle company here in town called Chuchong Noodle Company, and I've been buying there for years and years and years. And in the marketplace, in the grocery store, you can find their steamed noodles in a bag in the refrigerated section, steamed wheat noodles. And I find that you don't even need to rehydrate them in water at all. You just put them in the wok, and the noodles kind of soften and pick up the sauces that you put into the wok with them.
So those are the best because I feel like the problem with the dried noodles are when after you boil them, it becomes a little bit soggy. It's hard
Right.
to make them like au tante, and
Right.
then when you put in the frying pan, it doesn't get the correct chewy texture.
Right.
So those like steamed ones are amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a better product for the simple reason that she just said.
Mm-hmm.
The water is already out.
Doesn't
and
stick to the
don't
wok.
it doesn't stick, and it doesn't cool down as much because that liquid is not in there coming out of the noodles. So yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a much better product. Agreed on that for sure.
What the odd part of that is on the packaging, it says to dunk them in water and then use them, but you really don't have to.
No.
Okay, on the cover, let's talk Dan Dan noodles. It's a very popular dish. It's become more and more popular every day in America. How do you make the perfect Dan Dan noodles?
So the key component, one of the key components, is the sauce, which is actually surprisingly easy to make because the base is by using Chinese sesame paste.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really similar to tahini because it's made from sesame. But in the Chinese version, it's made with toasted sesame. So it has this dark brown color. The taste is actually quite different from tahini. It's like nutty and has this like rich flavor, kind of like peanut butter. So I usually advise my readers like either you get the Chinese one or you use peanut butter,
Okay.
the unsweetened
Sure.
smooth one. So
Oh,
that's the base of
I
the
never
noodle,
thought-
and then you.
I never thought of that. That's a great idea, using the peanut butter as a substitute. Huh.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
actually really like we use it all the time. It's because it's easier to find and the flavor is very, very close.
Right.
Yeah, and then you use a touch of light soy sauce. Chinkiang vinegar is also called black vinegar. It's like fermented, a little bit like balsamic vinegar,
Right.
Mhm.
but it's less sweet, and it has like a very rich fermented flavor. So you have the soy sauce and the vinegar, and you have aromatics like garlic and scallion, with a touch of sugar to balance out the flavor.
Mhm.
And the other important key component is the chili oil.
Right.
That I have this homemade version, which is really take like 5 minutes to make. But if you have like nice ground chili pepper, it's very, very easy to make at home. Like you use like a good quality chili oil, and there's another ingredient called Sichuan peppercorn. those small peppers are like, have a red color, and it actually has a very citrusy taste. And when you eat this peppercorn, it creates this numbing, zesty sensation in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it's
So
not
that
hot
is
at all.
another one.
It's just Szechuan peppercorn, but it's not
yeah,
spicy at all.
No,
so.
not spicy.
And so that's the basis of the dan dan. So you put the noodles into your wok, and then you put in the sauce and just stir fry them together.
Oh no, the noodles are actually boiled.
Okay.
So the noodles are boiled, and you mix it with the sauce. I do made a topping from mushroom and nuts. So originally, this dish is made with a little bit like ground pork topping. It's pretty much just like to add texture and flavor. But here, to make, to mimic that texture, I used some mushrooms and chopped up like nuts, and seasoned with. So there's another thing called 碎米芽菜. It's a fermented pickle. So you use those pickle in the topping and to create that rich taste.
And those are always a bit salty too, those pickles.
Yes, a little bit salty, yeah.
Rice noodles. That's something we can get. It's kind of a misnomer. They're always called fresh rice noodles, but they're made from rice. They're just kind of ground or something of the sort. How do you love to use rice noodles?
Rice noodles, actually, most of the times I just make chow fan, the fried noodles.
The big wide ones.
Yeah. So in my fried vegetable chow fan, I use like a bunch of vegetables. Like I overload it with vegetables because I just love the texture. I have the mushrooms and the peppers and the broccoli. Brought together with a brown sauce.
Is it a brown sauce you make or a brown sauce you pour in?
Oh, I buy. Oh, you can you even buy brown sauce? I don't even know. I just make them. It's so easy because you basically use soy sauce. Here I use two types of soy sauce. It's the light and the dark.
Right.
So the light soy sauce is very similar to regular soy sauce. It just has a lighter color.
Right.
And the dark soy sauce, it has a caramelized taste in it, and it's very thick. It has a much thicker texture. Right. So when you combine these two, it gives the dish a really nice color. If you just use the light, the dish is kind of like super light. But when you add the dark soy, it gives it like this dark brown, and a little bit caramelized taste. And then I use Shaoxing wine. It's a type of cooking wine in Chinese cooking. It's very, very important to add a rich taste because it's also fermented. And the other key ingredient is in this book I call vegetarian oyster sauce, because the original version is made with oyster extract, but for the plant-based version is made with mushroom, and it's like this brown sauce that I'd say it's a little bit similar to hoisin sauce, but it's much richer. It's more savory. It's less sweet. So I use this in almost all my brown sauces to add more flavor, and then you just need to add a touch of sugar to balance things out.
I am definitely hungry now.
Yeah, so good. Earlier, you make your char siu, what we consider kind of barbecue pork, but you make it with tofu, and then you make char siu chow mein. Chow mein is probably one of the most well-known dishes of Chinese cooking in America that I can think of. I often have the special chow mein add broccoli at my new favorite Xylem Bao house up there on Aurora, or down at Tai Tung at the counter with Harry Chan, who owns the Tai Tung restaurant. So it's super fun to get chow mein. It's like the house dish. It's like the house curry, right? Every restaurant has their own version of what chow mein is.
So it's it's funny because it's really, really popular here, but in China, in northern China, we don't eat it that much.
Really?
This is like a little bit off the topic, but we do have a version of similar to chow mein, but instead of use noodles, we actually use chopped up scallion pancake. Because you can easily buy these things at like market. They make it fresh every day, and we have those pancakes. And after we're eating the fresh one, and then it gets a little bit stale, but you chop them up, kind of like noodles, and we stir fry them with vegetables.
Oh, that sounds super good.
It's super good. I love it.
Yeah, because that brings a nice little crispiness in in that dish
Yeah.
instead of the noodle.
Yeah.
That would be up my alley if I could find a pile of those. But I never have all. For some reason, I never have any.
I've
old
done
green
that
onion
with-
pancakes.
Yeah, I've done that with lobako, where you end up with extra lobako and you
Right.
cube it and then you sear it in a wok with XO sauce or something of that nature. That's one of my favorites because I love lobako. So it is, I guess, every culture you'll see chilaquiles with old tortillas in Mexico, and you'll see
Uh-huh.
green onion pancakes in China.
French onion soup with
Yeah.
old bread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
French onion soup with old bread. Yeah.
But yeah, back to the chow mein. So I think a chow mein noodle, like one of the key things is to make the texture of the noodles is just so important.
Mhm.
So if you can find a good, like the steamed one you mentioned, instead of, I think the dried ones are really hard to work with. And anything that is like steamed or semi-fresh will work so much better in this, just because you can get this al dente texture, and when you sear them in the hot oil, it gets crisp up a little bit.
Right.
So in this recipe, I used like a vegetarian noodle, but I think if you don't need to stick to a vegetarian diet, the best noodle for chow mein noodles are those they call Hong Kong pan-fried noodles from Asian market. So these are a little bit like the steamed one you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's come in this package, it's refrigerated. They're already par cooked. They're like already steamed, but they have a little bit dried flour on like coating on it,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and they are made with egg. They has eggs in it. That's why it's not vegan. But it's made with like wheat flour, egg, and water, and those noodles are thin. And when you pan fry them, it creates this like amazing crispy texture.
Right.
So I think if you can find that one, it's really really great.
So fun. So fun. I could talk to you all day about this.
I
It's
know.
I love this kind of cooking and I love this kind of food.
And I like your approach to the refreshness of it. I like the whole concept of making it vegan and vegetarian, and I think it's very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been talking with
Thank you.
Maggie Zhu of her new book, Chinese Home Style. I'm sure you can get a copy over at the book lot, or maybe even autographed over there. So that'll be super fun. Thanks, Maggie, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Okay, goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Maggie. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so we got one for the books.
Yeah.
One for March. We did the mushroom already. Now we're going to cream cheese.
Yeah, what do you
It's
need for
cream of
that?
cheese.
I bought.
Bonjour, honey. How are you doing today?
Oh my God, Chef, where'd that come from?
What?
Bonjour, honey. How are you doing today? Did you hear his whole voice went up an octave when he saw you?
Bonjour, honey.
She must make him a little bit nervous.
That's right. On man, you were supposed
I always
to say.
go like this. Bonjour, Annie. Why are you here today?
Cream.
They've got a couple more segments. Are you going to be here for a bit? Yeah. Well, we got to do the whole second hour. Yeah, we're on the second hour. He didn't want the rice because he thought it would overwhelm his ingredients.
Oh yeah, cracker.
Rise with
That's right.
That's too bad.
And his soy sauce, it said it tasted on an egg. He said, I said, I'll boil some eggs. It's like, no, they have to taste it straight.
Adios. What did I say?
Yeah, so the noodle one was for, we'll use it next week.
I got you.
Good.
I know. They don't taste
They
like
brine them.
moldy. Like,
Right.
like the black sesame, when you.
Did you say they don't taste moldy?
Careful, Annie. They're going to come out whole. You're going to think you have some sort of Jeez.
I just love they don't taste moldy. Oh, it's good.
So good.
Hey, thank you for staying with us for hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
And we are, you've got a few businesses going now? Not
That's
really?
right. Yeah, I
Just
got
the one, right?
just
You're a
one.
consultant on
consulting at Lulu at SeaTac.
SeaTac Airport?
Concourse B.
Check
As
it
in
out.
baby, come and check it out.
Baby, come and check it out.
And we have the best oranges, the Lulu oranges.
Lulu.
We don't yet, but we will.
We have another full hour, as I mentioned. We're going to talk a little bit about cream cheese and taking that to the next level. Let's do that again.
Sorry about that. I just realized the noise it's making. Yeah. I was like, no, not gonna work.
If you need to wear it, we can
No,
figure
no,
that
no,
out.
no, it's good.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show, hour number 2 coming your way. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
You know, often I don't mention all the places that I have open. You know, it's the number one question I get asked when I see people out and about. Do you have any restaurants anymore? Blah, blah, blah. It's so funny. But yes, we do have restaurants. We've got the Carlisle Room. We've got Hot Stove Society, which is where we are right now, of course. Lola downstairs is open. Dahlia Bakery across the street, along with Serious Pie. Seatown in the market area. Rub Shack. Edda's Big Mountain Barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got lots going on. Ballard,
And you-
Totem Lake.
Totem Lake. Yeah,
Totem
don't
Lake,
forget, you're
Serious
starting to
Pie.
expand your horizon here.
So yes, we're doing really good, and we're really thankful for all the people that have helped keep us going over the last 3 years. You know, we're coming up March 16th. Will be 3 years since we closed the doors.
Two
Three.
years?
3
3.
since we. Yeah,
Oh my God.
isn't that amazing? The pandemic started. Yeah,
Time flies so
March 16th.
quickly here.
we're really trying to get Palace Kitchen open on the day that we closed.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah, but we'll see. We're trying hard, but it's
I
difficult.
tell you one thing,
sledding
people
with-
talk to me about Palace Kitchen all the time. When is Tom ever going to reopen that?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you should ask him.
Well, and they have, and yes, we are. Cream cheese. Let's take it to the next level, Chef. You have talked a little bit about using my veggie rub, which Pam
Yeah.
helped develop here on your popcorn. Your wife likes it on her popcorn,
She loves it, and actually, I love it too. It's really good. It's very, I mean, popcorn by itself is pretty boring.
well, you're French, so you don't
And
have an
then-
appreciation for it. Like,
Wait, no. I'm saying popcorn by itself is pretty boring, and popcorn with cinema butter is disgusting.
you
And
mean coconut oil.
yeah, so unless you take your own brown butter and melt it down to a brown color, and then pour that all over your popcorn and toss it around, then that's worthy of putting butter on your popcorn. But very importantly, Kathy puts the veggie rub on the popcorn, and it's really, really delicious. A lot of it falls to the bottom, but
Sure.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And but it's really good flavor.
So we're going to make cream cheese out of it today, and so the veggie
I'm
rub,
not putting that on my popcorn.
the cream cheese. Well, we're taking cream cheese to another level. And if you go into any sort of Jewish deli where you'll see cream cheese either has chive or smoked
Dill.
salmon or dill, or you can buy it lots of different ways. And that's pretty much just trickled down to mainstream markets too, where you have some cream cheese options. But it's so easy to flavor it yourself.
Yeah.
So I mean, the rub with love, what we're doing is very simple, but
Yeah.
you can skip that if you choose at your own peril. But you can make toasted garlic right on your stovetop and then add that to the cream cheese. There's a million things you could do. What are some
I
ideas?
think that then cream cheese is kind of like doing compound butter with it. When you take butter and you add anything to it, it's the same thing with cream cheese. Cream cheese is a vessel. It's not very strong on flavor. It's a beautiful spread. It's got good texture. All you need is a little help from your neighbor. So you just go to the garden and slice a bunch of chives. Put that in your cream cheese, some cracked pepper, a little bit of salt, or finishing salt on top, and you got a wonderful garnish to cured salmon, smoked salmon, many of those different dishes that have kind of an appetizer deli kind of function. It's a beautiful spread to put on the toasted bagel. I mean, toasted bagel and cream cheese and chives, lots of chives. By the way, when I say chives, I don't mean like 3 pieces of chives. I mean like lots of chives. So there is actually that flavor. and a little piece of smoked salmon on top of that, you're in heaven.
I love to take chorizo. You can get the good Spanish chorizo, mince it, saute it, put some smoked paprika on top of it, and then mix that with cream cheese, and you get a little chorizo cream cheese.
Yeah.
Really,
Whoa.
really good.
That was your broccoli. It's delicious.
Bagel is the classic.
Right.
They had that scare. Remember, I think it was about this time last year where they started to run out of cream cheese in New York, and people were freaking out.
But they should move to Philadelphia, isn't it where it's from?
Philadelphia brand cream cheese. I have no idea. If our producer would have thought to look up where Philadelphia cream cheese is from, I bet it's from New Jersey.
I'm sure it's not from Philly. No, but cream cheese is a definitely, and it's also, by the way, have you ever cooked with cream cheese? Like you put it at the end of a sauce, like reduce some white wine and then mix a little cream cheese. I've done it by accident because I was out of sour cream and or creme fraiche. And all I had was cream cheese. I was like, oh, let me try that.
Yeah.
It melts really nicely.
Yeah, it
and
works just fine.
it's just like putting fresh goat cheese in the sauce, except it doesn't taste like goat cheese. It tastes like cream cheese.
There's one dish that I think we even serve it here at the hot stove sometimes for an appetizer, but I really don't care for it. Like, what is that? Crab rangoon. Where you mix the crab.
It's funny because we
with
just,
I just can't stand it.
I was talking about China Harbor. There was crab ragoon on the menu, and Kathy and I were talking about it because that's like 1980 stuff, 1970
totally.
stuff.
Trader Vic's kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that you take crab and cream cheese, put it together, and put it in a wonton wrapper, and then deep fry it. And so you get this molten lava when you bite into it. It's like, oh my God, I just killed my mouth. Yeah.
But it's funny how that became a big thing on all Chinese menu.
Because you dip it in sweet and sour sauce.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But it's honestly, it's good to eat. It's just not something you want to eat every day, number one. But
It's a good binder. So if you're making, what's that crepe that you roll with like a bechamel and mushrooms and
like a jambon fromage, kind of idea?
something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
cream cheese or in some sort of crepe
Sure.
by itself with some fresh fruit. It's a nice combination.
It's
with
also
cream cheese.
great with whipped cream. If you take some whipped cream and bind it gently into your cream cheese, it will soften it down and make it much lighter of a product. So if you're using fresh
That's what I do
strawberries,
with sour cream. I don't do that with cream cheese, but
you can do it with sour cream and cream cheese, and it's nice on strawberry. When strawberries are in season, you macerate them a little bit with a bit of cracked pepper and a little bit of sugar, and then you put that nice little cream and cream cheese on top. It's actually quite lovely. But it's also good as a binder, like you said, in terrine. Like if you're laying down, I used to do a smoked salmon terrine, and cream cheese was in between the layers, a flavored cream cheese of, again, chopped shallots, a little bit of garlic, cracked pepper, and chives, and then put that in between the layers of the smoked salmon, and then pack it in overnight. And then the next day you unmold it and slice it, and you have a beautiful salmon terrine.
salmon terrine, lovely.
Great item for lunch, for brunch. If you're inviting people over, it's a great
It's a
item.
showstopper too. It looks so
Oh, yeah.
pretty. Yeah, it looks so pretty. We eat with our eyes a lot of times.
That's right.
All right, don't be intimidated by crackers. This is something you could use with the cream cheese too. It's a
Absolutely.
They go
homemade
hand in
cracker.
hand.
Yeah, homemade crackers on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Giddy up.
I'm imagining being in a rodeo oval ring.
Lowville, New York is where it's made now.
There you go. He was right. New Jersey.
I thought I looked for a cracker recipe in your books. Do you have one? I didn't find one.
I believe so. Well, you don't look in my book very often.
Yeah, no, I thought I pulled all three of them out.
Flour, water, salt, and a little bit of olive oil.
And olive oil.
I love how she said, I pulled all three of them out. There's four.
I don't think of the crab cake one.
Oh, you're just getting technical on us. She forgot.
That's more like a pamphlet. Crab cake
You know,
pamphlet.
you should try the Rover's cookbook. Oh, you don't have it. Never mind.
It was those ones the crackers they were making at London Plain. Did you ever have those that have some semolina in them?
No, that sounds good though.
Oh yeah.
You know what's his name? Tom, the guy who used to make bread. Not Sergio, but that left town, went to California. Super nice guy. Italian guy that sells his stuff on the market.
Panzanella.
Panzanella. Yeah, Chiro.
Oh,
Thank you.
the
Mine
brain
is
is
still. Mine is
still
still.
sharp.
Hey, 4 on the Wordle this morning. I got it in 4.
Brilliant.
They're so easy. I don't even bother with them anymore.
Oh, I
I only do the
I will
Sunday.
challenge your
I only
butt
do
on
the
that one.
Sunday night, Sunday New
Crossword
York
now.
Times crossword. That's all.
You're that.
The rest is just like
The full crossword?
yeah.
I do the mini every day, but I don't do the full.
Did you do the maxi one that they had in their
did.
game supplement? Oh man,
I
that's
would like to. If you still have it, I would take it.
I think I might.
I do the mini, the Wordle, and the spelling bee.
You're going to be sharp as a tack when you're 103.
Right. If something else doesn't kill me. It's like when the doctor said, "Oh, you have a great heart. You have at least 30 more years on that." I said, "Can you do it to the lung too?"
Yeah. You need everything to be
I'm
in
like,
sync.
exactly. It's like having 3 good tires and a dead one. I'm like, well, great. We're still not going anywhere.
Okay, let's talk crackers. Who was the famous, the Marx Brothers, right? Wasn't that the name of their animal crackers? Wasn't that the name of one of their movies?
You
think
won't
so,
know
if I'm
that,
not
Tom. You're the
mistaken.
one who knows that.
I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Rochero, the chef in the hat.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show. We're talking crackers because
That's right.
you make me crackers. There's so many good ones out there. It's a shame to even think about making your own. And I'll start with one that I know our producer Pamela and I love. And nobody really knows this, but these crackers are made by a woman named Joan McIsaac. And when I started a second restaurant, we had the Dahlia, and then we were getting ready to start a second restaurant. So I couldn't be the chef anymore at the Dahlia because I was going to be over the 2. So I promoted one of our cooks to be the chef of the Dahlia in 1993 or so, I'll say. And her name was Joan McIsaac. She was from Boston and it was terrific. And at that time, we had several terrific cooks in our kitchen. We had Philip Mahalski from Nell's over. We had Jonathan
John.
Sundstrom with Lark in the kitchen at that time. We had Holly Smith with
Holly,
Cafe
yeah.
Juanita in the
Yeah,
kitchen at that time.
Yeah, you had a serious crew in there.
Yeah, that's some array of talent there.
Yeah, I know. So we had a beautifully talented Shelley who went on to write all of our cookbooks was in the kitchen. Steven Steinbach, who went down to I've worked with for many years, taught me a lot about cooking, and so we had a very strong kitchen, and was trying to decide which chef of the chefs who was going to stay at the Dahlia and who was going to go open Edda's.
Mhm.
And so Matt, who's up at the Inn at Langley.
Oh, yeah, Matt, that's true.
So yeah. Anyway, Joan went on to open a company called Effie's Homemade, which makes, I think, the best
So fine.
biscuits. I'll call them biscuits in the marketplace. They're hard to call crackers because they're so rich.
Yeah.
You know, I
and
think of
thick.
crackers as being kind of dry, but they are so rich and delicious. And she has pecan version, a cornmeal version, oat cracker,
And in my house right now at Chef Shop yesterday, I got the rye.
the rye,
Oh, it's so good.
Wow.
walnut. But so now they're
I
made.
haven't tried that. I'm definitely going to try that. I like the idea of a rye cracker.
Yeah.
I'm a
it's
big fan of
beautiful.
strong flavor for, things like sausages or salamis, like charcuterie item, and for
Yes.
things like smoked salmon and stuff.
Mm.
I prefer a rye than a wheat.
Well,
It's like
for
to
her-
me, it's like
For her oat crackers, I would say those are the best cheese crackers because they're the
Right.
most one-dimensional as far as
Correct.
flavor profile. And when I'm having a cracker with cheese, I want the cheese to be the star.
correct.
Right? So, and you see all these ones out there like Rain Crisp has all the nuts and the fruits in it.
Yeah.
I almost prefer those with a very bland cheese, like a brie or
Yeah.
just a fresh goat or something. But nothing that's been ripened to its perfect state because
that's the start.
that's the star.
Mhm.
I'd rather do that on plain baguette or
Right.
something like that. So we were talking about crackers here, and years ago I made a seed bread, which could be a cracker or a bread
Try seaweed.
that we did like what we called eggplant caviar. You remember
Right.
that used to be so popular a way to talk about
Forgot about that.
like grilled roasted eggplant that was then pureed and was called eggplant caviar. We made our own seed bread, and it's just a baking powder seed bread, which is actually really just a cracker.
Right.
So lots of fun. It's in my first book, and the bread itself has flour, sesame seeds, poppy seeds, fennel seeds, salt, baking powder, black pepper, water, and olive oil, and that's it. And then you just roll it out and you bake it,
What's
or
the
you
baking?
can pan fry it. For us, we pan fried it in olive oil to order,
Right.
and then served it
Oh,
around.
wow.
Also, it would puff too.
It would puff a
because
little
of the
bit.
baking powder.
Yeah,
I was going to ask, why do you put baking powder in there? But it brings a puff to it. Yeah.
cooks super fast, and
Yeah.
you just put a nice little bowl of the eggplant caviar out, and then surround it with warm
In a dry skillet,
warm-
like how do you fry
olive
a
oil.
bread?
olive
Oh,
oil. So a warm seed bread along with that. So the question on the table is: buy crackers or homemade crackers? Do you have a favorite cracker recipe to make it yourself?
No, I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but I have made cracker many times, especially during the Rovers era. We used many different kind of crackers to put underneath as a vessel for carrying little amuse-bouche, what you bring to the table, the beginning of a meal, like things like olives, and, we use all kind of different things, anchovies, black garlic.
But what about the cracker itself?
The cracker dough is very simple. It's flour, water, salt, and a little bit of olive oil. The whole thing mixed together, let it sit, and then roll it. And it's a bit of a roller. It's a tough roller, as in it's not.
Well, if you used a pasta machine, you could roll it out.
you
with
could
could
that.
use a
say
pasta
to get
machine.
it thin enough.
That's
Wouldn't you
much
want a
easier.
pasta
Yeah.
machine?
Use a pasta machine and get it very thin, and then cut your shape you want. Cut the shape you want, and then before you cut, this is when you put all your ingredients on it. Like if you have an olive tapenade with olive oil, for example, super fine, you brush it. You don't cover it, but you brush it.
Wait, go back. So is the cracker finished at this point?
No, the cracker is raw
Okay.
and it's not cut. It's not cut into shape yet. Like it's not individually cut. I individually cut after I put things on top.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So if you're not cut, if you're cutting into circles, you end up with a little bit of waste or
Correct.
chef treat,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
chef treat. Exactly what it is. Chef's treat, as always.
So you bake it with the tapenade on it.
Correct.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and what you end up with is a cracker that's kind of a bit drier tapenade on top, but then you can put something else on top of that. So, for example, if you have a smoked neck lamb, everybody should have smoked neck lamb in their refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Something of that nature, some kind of a cut meat.
You laugh, but I always keep smoked duck breast.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's a quick
That's-
appetizer.
yeah, take that, chop it fine, make a nice little mix of olive oil and harissa, put that as a little quenelle right on top of your cracker, and you look like Martha Stewart.
But that you do after it's baked.
Yes, of course. Everything is after it's baked. The cracker itself is done as soon as you put it in the oven and you bake it. That's it. You keep it on the side. Now, I would say that if you have the dough made, don't bake unless you're going to eat, meaning that you got to eat those crackers within the next couple of days. Just keep the dough in the freezer and then take it out as you need it. Put it in small packages. And then, it's easy because one little bit of dough can make a lot of crackers.
One of the most famous crackers in the marketplace today is called La Panzanella
I
crackers,
love
right?
La Panzanella.
And Ciro, years ago, when he was doing bread and driving it around the city to all the Italian restaurants, he started making these crackers up, and he would run his cracker dough. Oh, that was your idea? Bridget's saying that was her idea. He would run his dough through the pasta machine and get that really nice, thin cracker, and then bake it in his bread ovens.
Delicious cracker,
Yeah.
still to this day. I mean, there is a lot of cracker on the market, and I've tried many. Some of them not too long ago. I tried some pretty disappointing. I like Beecher's. Beecher's has a good cracker. It breaks easily. One of my,
Toothsome.
but it's delicious cracker. But I think La Panzanella today it's got very low competition on the market in terms of how good it is.
When I was a
Love the
young chef,
rosemary and black pepper.
yeah,
Yeah.
of the panzanella. When I was a younger chef, we would always buy the Cars water
Yeah, yeah,
biscuits.
yeah.
They seemed so groovy at the time. Yeah.
Looking back,
They
that was
were. They
looking,
were.
looking back, you're like, that wasn't a cracker. That was a cookie.
No, well, they have the water. I mean, they have one that's a little bit like the panzanella kind of texture,
Right.
but they also have the thicker wheat crackers. And so delicious. Get out there, buy some crackers, make some crackers, enjoy your life.
Well said.
I like that.
Homemade
Bon
cracker.
appetit.
Okay, a challenge coming up, Chef. Pam is challenging us to make 4 chicken dinners out of 1 chicken. So
Easy.
All right, let's do that when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Yay! Yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! So I will ask on the radio as well. But you want 4 different kind of cooking the chicken, or just one big roasted chicken and make 4 different meal out of it?
Well, I thought about that after choosing how
I know
you
what he's gonna say.
choosing how you cook your chicken might be an important part of the competition.
I literally just did it yesterday.
I know.
Oh, I do it all the time, like a whole roasted chicken. Then what am I gonna do with the chicken? So it's easy.
But I was also thinking, what if you started with boiled? Does that give you more versatility than a roasted?
Not as much.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it's a flavor you can be looking for, a profile. I prefer roasted, but we'll talk about that on the show.
Yeah. I know. Always buy it whole.
They have a good price at the Metropolitan Market right now.
And whole chickens?
Yeah, they were selling them for like $10 off on a chicken or some shit like that. Or some stuff like that. I don't remember.
I'd have to hit it on my home.
Yeah, Kathy just bought one, I think it was 2 days ago. I roasted it yesterday. So
Whole chicken for $10. It's $3.50 a pound of chicken. That's a lot of.
I didn't say-
that's-
That's what it costs now.
no, the chicken at Met Market is more than that.
Oh yeah.
A whole organic chicken is like close to $20. Anyway, they have a good price on it, so take notes.
And we're back. It's time for. What do French chickens sound like?
Well, they do cut like everybody else, but they don't speak English.
All right, it's Pamela. You have a challenge for us.
Yes. I think we all want to get used to just buying whole chickens so that we can get multiple meals out of it. So I'd like to see what direction each of you would go. And I want 4 different flavor results from one base chicken, including how are you going to cook that chicken?
Are
So
we
that you-
cooking together, or are we cooking? Is that 8 results that you want?
8.
8 results. So you have to be fast, Chef. I'll start.
Number 1.
Show me how
Chicken
fast.
piccata, chicken breast, pounded, seared, big pieces of lemon zest and capers, a little butter sauce, white wine. I like vermouth. This is my white wine because it's got an herbaceous quality.
Oh yeah,
Chicken piccata. I'm done. Mike slam. Boom.
is it my turn?
Yes, your turn.
Whole roasted chicken stuffed with citrus and rosemary, salt on the outside with butter under the skin, 425 degrees for about 40 minutes, and the last 20 minutes at about 350. And you got a wonderful chicken on your hand. From there,
Okay,
get-
so Chef, my turn now. I'm just telling you, you now got a whole roasted chicken.
that's right.
That's all you can use for the rest
That
because
is
she only
correct.
gave us 1 chicken. All right, I'm taking the thighs and I'm cubing the thighs, putting them on a skewer, and I'm making a glaze. 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 1 tablespoon honey, 1 tablespoon of my 12 spice. Robert loves 12 spice.
Right.
You could use Chinese 5 spice, and then you glaze it for the last 2 minutes on the grill. After it's pretty much cooked, you caramelize the glaze right on top of the kebab. Your turn, Chef.
Well, I'm going to take one leg because it's a big chicken.
It's
I'm gonna-
cooked leg, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cooked leg. I'm going to take the leg. I'm going to take it off the bone, and I'm going to take the meat and dice it and do it with toasted almond, diced celery, and a endive and radicchio arugula salad. A dash of sesame oil and a little bit of soy sauce and a bit of Dijon mustard to bind the whole thing up together. Toss the whole thing together, and we have my little roasted chicken, Asian style, because of the soy.
Okay, I'm going Asian
sesame.
style right on top of you. I'm going to
Okay.
take my favorite babar chicken dish, which is that little,
Yes.
I think they call it Saigon chicken salad, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
And it's cabbage and it's shredded cooked chicken, light or dark. I think they use light. And it's got a sweeter kind of dressing with fish sauce, a little bit of sugar, lime juice. Delicious, just tossed and eaten in such a simple, tasty little lunch.
Is it just cute? It's served on the cabbage, like on a slaw?
No, it's the cabbage is in it. It's a cabbage chicken salad.
Cabbage salad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the breast and I'm gonna use sauteed mushroom. I'm gonna take some mushroom cubed, sauteed in a brown butter, shallots, garlic, thyme, traditional, salt, pepper. I'm gonna put all the dice of the chicken. I'm gonna dice it too. I'm gonna toss it together with the mushroom and use that as a base for a wonderful entree on the plate with some roasted broccoli on the side and a nice. I'm gonna take that pan, whatever is in that pan. I'm gonna take the mushroom out and the chicken out. I'm gonna deglaze with sweet vermouth. I mean, dry vermouth, not sweet, and dash of butter, and finish that with a bunch of tarragon and put that right over the whole mushroom and chicken.
Sounds lovely, chef.
Number 4, Tom.
Number 4, I'm going to take the wings and I'm going to marinate them in our classic Palace Kitchen wing marinade, which is Tabasco, garlic, soy sauce, coriander chutney, and we're going to marinate, and then we're going to cook them over an applewood charcoal fire. Nice and hot. Get a good char on them, and then finish them in the oven.
That's tasty.
And then, they've been marinated. You have to take the marinade in something like that. You can't use the marinade straight. You have to cook it because it's like had the raw chicken in it, right? So then you take a couple of ladles of that marinade, you reduce it down in a pan, and at the last minute, you've got the smoky wings. You just toss them with the cooked marinade, serve them with a little sour cream. So good and smoky and tasty, and kick ass.
So I'm
Spice.
I'm down to the rest of my chicken. So I'm gonna take all the bones and make a beautiful stock. And I'm gonna take that stock and make a wonderful bean, chard, and collard green, carrots, celery soup, and finish with all the meat diced in there. And of course, at the end, I'm gonna put a little bit of harissa at the end of my soup to just give it a kick. And there we go. I want a wonderful Italian chicken soup.
Zuppa.
Well, I have one leg and thigh left, but my time is up. Is our time up or is our number up?
The number's up.
Yeah, I'm going to make meatballs out of my last leg and thigh.
I wasn't quite done with my other leg either.
And I'm going to make a little Italian wedding soup with the meatballs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that soup. But the key is you make your little meatballs, lots of herbs and stuff. I put cheese in them, feta in them. But the key is you can't make a meatball bigger than the size of the spoon you're going to eat with.
That's
It
right.
makes me crazy
One
when
bite.
people put big chunks of things in soup that you kind of have to figure out how do I cut in hot broth.
Yeah.
And it makes me crazy. And it
It should
happens
be a
all the time.
one-bite thing.
A one bite thing.
And with my leg, I'm gonna do tacos because I love a good roasted chicken taco. You know, you're using some of your Tokyo rub just to give it a little bit of a zing.
What?
You're going to use
Yeah.
my Tokyo rub on your taco?
Yeah, the
Yes.
chicken
No, on my
taco.
chicken. The chicken is roasted. The leg, I took the meat out, mix it with a little bit of the Tokyo rub because it's got that zest to it, and maybe even some caramelized onion. Some lemon is what I meant to say. Caramelized lemon added to that with avocado, a little bit of salsa, and lots of cilantro and green onion.
Mm-hmm.
Mix the whole thing together. Put that in the taco. Oh, I'm so hungry right
Wow,
now.
I know. I could eat that right up.
Oh,
Since we still have time, I'm going to take the oysters out of the back of the
Oh.
chicken. You know what the oysters? And when I'm teaching a young chef how to butcher,
Yeah.
I always say if you can't get the oyster with when you've taken the
you don't know how
thigh
to
off,
butcher.
you're not allowed to cook in my
That's
kitchen,
right.
right? You have to learn
right.
how to get the oyster. But some fancy restaurants just serve the oysters.
I used to be one of those fancy restaurants.
Really, and it's just that little nugget of meat that's
It almost
stuck in
looks like
back.
the best gizzard you could possibly eat.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way, but it's not. A super tender.
Yeah,
and
it's very
stark meat.
Wait,
delicious.
are you taking it out from raw or after it's been cooked?
From raw.
Raw.
Oh, okay.
And so you just something like that. I love to just do a little French style, like almost like a blanquette de veau,
Yeah.
but with the chicken oysters instead. Just a delicious thing served with roasted
So good.
potatoes.
Yeah, Normandy style, some sauteed
Yeah.
mushroom and a few things
Little,
in there. Oh,
apple
and a
cider.
nice dollop of creme fraiche
Yeah.
at the end. Oh,
sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah, well,
You got nothing. You got nothing.
I'm
to
eating.
respond to?
I'm eating what you just made. No, I'm gonna take those same oysters and I'm gonna wrap them up in puff pastry with a bit of duxelles, mushroom duxelles,
Yes.
and a little bit of cheese. I'm gonna bake that in the oven and serve that as a little appetizer.
I now have 10 spectacular ways to use chicken. I'm going to buy
I
2
believe that was
chickens.
12.
You-
if
you
I'm
On
know-
the way,
you know
oh,
what
yeah,
I-
when we added the oysters, that was.
You
that
know
did
what I
make
was
it
going to
12.
put in that puff pastry is actually the liver of the chicken, which he didn't use, but I was going to take the chicken liver, pan saute quickly, diced, put that with the oyster. We call that the chicken oyster, what he's talking about. Put that into the puff pastry and then bake that together.
But why would you leave the heart and gizzards behind? So, because to me, you just put those in buttermilk, you bread them with a little corn flour,
That's what I was
and
going
you
to do.
fry them and serve them with straight up hot sauce.
I was going to
Crystal
actually
hot sauce.
put them on skewer and really put them on the grill because your grill is still hot. So
All right, listeners, get to the supermarket, buy a whole chicken.
There's so many
Make-
pieces you didn't even know existed.
I know I'm not even done yet, but that's okay.
And dig in on all 12 of these recipes and report back.
That was 14. When we come back, let's jump into Rub with Love, Food for Thought, Tasty Trivia on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. What a fun game.
Oh my God.
Super fun. That would be a good segment to.
Yeah, that was so good. Had a lot of energy. Darling Bridget, you ready to take
Come
the
over to get your beating. Come on over to get your beating, Chef Bridget. Look at she comes willingly.
Do we
I
have a
like
theme
it.
today? No theme. Okay. That means probably gonna lose. Yeah, exactly. Branch for 10. As a matter of fact, at
Keep
Lulay.
pulling it. You know, there's a chair that actually fits under the counter if you'd prefer.
Hey, are you guys playing together?
We know that.
Oh my God. What? It's like one is not bad
This
enough.
is the double trouble. Oh
my God.
Now,
Yeah,
don't
watch
answer
out.
unless you're going to speak to the mic. So practice right now. Just say this.
2.
Annie. Say Annie is a loser.
I will not say that.
Hey, she's not on. We can't hear her.
Okay, you
1,
try
2.
it. Bridget is a
Oh.
loser. Go ahead.
Where
you
is
try it.
Bridget?
Don't say it.
Yep.
Taunt, no.
What cracker did we forget?
No, you didn't forget it, but Carlo Medioni at Vivante on San Francisco used to make logs of cheddar cheese on a short dough.
Short dough
style
crackers,
Oh.
yeah.
Crackers.
I had
and
those.
They had red pepper flakes. in it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember
Oh, and he
the
had buckets of them. and
the red pepper flake being hot for a moment
they
in
were
the
a little bit
80s.
spicy, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So
Will you make those for us?
Don't you love having a chef in the
he
house?
passed away. All those
Uh.
recipes. Because we had books.
Why didn't you get them then?
Well, it was like.
Was
trying to
that
figure
where
out-
Steven worked too? Did you
I
overlap?
think Gigi worked there.
Gigi worked there.
Steven
Gigi.
worked at Zuni.
Oh. But did you work there too, or you just
I
knew?
worked at Vivante.
You did?
Yeah.
4 years.
You don't
It's a
know how to make the
special-
crackers?
That was a special place.
And you don't know how to make the
Oh, I have
crackers?
the recipe. I know. I
That would
have
be
the recipe.
that would be one of time because you were making them every day. You don't remember how to make them. It's like she made them once.
Like the poppy seed shortbread.
I love shortbread.
You're that.
Okay, Annie, you ready to practice? I am a loser. Just say it out loud.
Tom is a loser. That's what he's asking. say I am a loser. He said, but tell him.
All right. I guess they don't want to admit defeat before the contest.
You know
Why
what?
we want to defeat something? We're gonna win.
Okay, let's see. Let's see, big
There we
talker.
go. We got her going.
Juices are flowing.
When we come back,
No, we are back.
it's time for Rub with Love, food for thought, tasty trivia here on Cairo Radio. Rub with Love is a family of spice blends, tangy sauces, and a perfect shallot mustard. Keep them in your pantry to give flavor boost to any meal. If you need to pick up some Rub with Love, you can get all of our products here at the Hot Stove Society or Seatown Restaurant, over in Ballard, where we actually make them, Syria's Pie. And then if you're out traveling out and about or listening to us somewhere in the atmosphere, you can stop by Easy Orchards in Salem, Oregon, Smoke and Fire in Overland Park, Kansas, or
Wow.
Kowalski's Markets with multiple locations in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Pam, why don't you tell us how to play the game and who these chumps are that think that they
Pretty-
can
No,
take
Wow.
these are not chumps. These are champions.
Yeah, we have two champion chefs, Annie Elmore and Bridget Charters, that are teaming up against Tom and Terry separately. And each of the contestants is going to get 5 questions.
Yeah.
Someone's
The
going to
good
win.
news- the only good news of today is that they work here, so I don't have to give them any Rub with Love.
In other words,
As a prize.
I
They
think he's
don't
saying
get
if
free
you want to
bread.
keep your job, you know what to do.
I did take some of the bulk veggie rub because my little can was.
Oh,
low,
good.
so-
Oh, okay. So that being the case, if they happen to win, I am going to send a 3-pack to 3 lucky listeners. All right?
Yes.
How do they contact us?
They send me an email.
And what's the code word for the win? For them to win?
Rub for the win.
Rub for the win.
Whoa. And the genie will come out.
Okay, and we will send you. That's only 3 people get a 3-pack each. Okay, let's
Nice.
get going.
Ready? All right, Terry Rotaro.
Let's do it.
Which of these fat sources has no cholesterol? This is multiple choice. Animal, vegetable, mineral. Have
Mineral.
no cholesterol.
Mineral. You're gonna
Fats
s-
from vegetable
I
sources
knew
like
you were
those
gonna
found
say that.
in
That was
olive
too
oil
easy.
or almonds contain no cholesterol.
What are fats from minerals?
I know. What is the fats for mineral? I would
Well,
like to know.
don't you
that.
ever put baby oil on your pasta?
It's some of the fishes.
Oh, cod liver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which of these is off limits if you are vegan? Broccoli, soy milk, or honey?
Honey.
Exactly. Number 3, what is the word for securing poultry or other meats with strings, pins, or skewers to hold its compact shape?
What's the word to secure them?
What do you call that when you're putting it together?
You
The word
Put
for
them on a
sec-
skewer. You
No.
cube them. You.
To tie up a roast, what do you call that?
Oh. Sorry. I thought you said on the skewer. To tie up a roast, you call it.
Lassoing.
Yeah,
starts with a T.
That's with a cow.
R.
That's a U in
Oh,
there.
tressing. You mean?
Trusty.
That's what you were looking for. No,
Well, you
no,
got
because
this.
you totally
We
threw
were
me
all
off because I heard
holding our
skewer.
What is the red grape variety in Romani Conti and Chambertin?
Well, in all of Burgundy, it's Pinot Noir.
Exactly. And finally, what is added to a bechamel sauce to make it a Mornay sauce?
Cheese.
Yes.
Way to
How'd
go,
you do?
Chef.
I
Way to
feel
go.
like those
Oh.
questions are not right.
4 out
We
of
should
5.
have asked
What do you mean they're not
more.
right?
We should have given.
Did
him
you know
a-
the answer to them?
Okay, we're asking 2 of the hottest hot stove chefs in the world.
Hot.
Well, I didn't mean hot that way. I mean like in vogue. Annie Elmore and Bridget Charters are here. They're both instructors here, and Annie is the executive director now since Pam retired. And so here we go.
This is a multiple choice team. Which of these types of fats are considered good fats by nutritionists? Partially hydrogenated fats, mono unsaturated fats, or polysaturated fats?
Ah. Easy question for you girls.
I'm not taking your fat class, I can tell.
I know.
I just was looking at this. Mono, poly, or
Partially hydrogenated,
Definitely
mono
not random.
unsaturated, or polysaturated.
B.
That was
The answer is B.
I think Tom is having a heart attack
if
right
you
now.
didn't know, if you didn't know the answer was B,
Trusting.
if you didn't know but B, she will tell you.
Number 2 is also multiple choice. Whole grains aren't found in which of these foods? White bread, flavored oatmeal, or brown rice?
Okay, look that way.
White bread.
Wow, white bread it is. Number 3, please describe the texture of a mother of vinegar.
It's like a kombucha. It's kind of a mat of sorts. It's very spongy. It's a disc. It's about an inch in depth.
Yep,
It's
slimy and
slimy.
gummy.
Slimy.
Slimy and gummy, which is why I don't drink kombucha.
Number 4, many people think that the Germans invented sauerkraut, but it was developed by laborers over 2,000 years ago. Where was it invented?
China.
Exactly, while they were building the wall.
No kidding.
Good
I
knowledge.
had sauerkraut last night for dinner.
Did you make it?
I did. Well, I didn't make the kraut. I
Which brand did you
raised it.
use?
I don't know. Jackie bought it.
Hopefully, what's the one we left from
Firefly.
Ballard?
Our
Firefly.
buddy at Firefly.
Oh, so good.
Fabulous.
Or Emerald
Fabulous.
City Kraut. Oh,
So
Yeah,
good.
great products. And finally, is fromage blanc a fresh or an aged cheese?
fresh. Fresh.
Yay!
Oh, 5 out of 5.
I don't
My
think Tom
what a
is happy.
surprise.
She didn't know that we were going to beat that.
What a team! Hi,
Living up to
Tom.
that chump label.
Number 1, Mr. Douglas, court bouillon is traditionally used to poach seafood or vegetables. How is this broth made?
Well, first you have to go to the royal court or the tennis court. No, it's made. It's usually white wine and water, some vegetables like celery and carrots and onion or leeks. So it's a light brothy,
Yep.
delicious.
Cooking various vegetables with
Poaching
herbs,
method, yeah.
usually including an onion studded with cloves.
Yes.
Yes.
Classic.
Number 2, gum arabic is a natural additive used to thicken candy, ice cream, and syrups. What tree does it come from?
The gum tree.
Ooh, that's
They
a tough
grow
question.
well here in Ballard
Yeah.
or downtown.
Ooh.
It would be.
We have a gum tree in our yard in Prosser.
You do? It would be the acacia.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Number 3.
It's a type of gum tree.
Yeah. What is another name for edible kelp?
Delicious kelp. Edible kelp is another name for it.
Asian cookery.
Seaweed. I don't know. What do you want from me?
Kombu.
Kombu is more like dried kelp that you make a broth out of.
Edible kelp. Kombu. Wrong.
Not going
That's
anywhere.
not all kelp.
Oh,
My God,
What
getting
is-
crushed.
I know.
I think they are.
Not only you don't get the hint, but you get beat up for it.
Yeah.
What is the name of the low-slung hardwood tree grown throughout the Southwest used in barbecuing and smoking?
Acacia. Mesquite tree.
Mesquite. And finally,
Or hickory.
we'll see if you ever listen to me. What is the type of acid in spinach that inhibits the absorption of calcium and iron?
You just said it earlier. a
Oh, I
week or
know
so
that
ago.
one.
Yeah, what is it?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Zinc.
No.
No.
No, acid. It's a type
Acid.
of acid.
Acid.
So it's not an amino acid. It is what kind of acid?
Oxalic.
Oxalic. I can't believe I didn't remember that.
Tom,
Thank you for crushing me. 3 lucky listeners who email Pam at the Hot Stove Society
Mhm.
with the secret. I'm not gonna say it again. They had to hear it the first time.
Okay.
So we'll get a 3-pack. Don't forget to include your address.
Who won?
the girls won.
Oh.
Annie and Bridget
If
won.
you want to be
and
part of
then
the show, you can join
Tom
the community on
not.
YouTube Live at Hot Stove Society Radio Show. Also, remember, if you missed any episode of our Hot Stove show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app. You're listening to us on Cairo, and the show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, technical director Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre.
Thank you, and have a fabulous weekend.
See you guys.
Thank you, Chef.
We need to
Thank
go back
you.
and do the exit for the first show, unless you did it. Did you do the read for the first show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the promo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, Annie, be quiet. I'm Chef Tom Douglas.